Everyone, welcome. We're just going to give it a few seconds to let the room fill up before we begin. All righty, let's do this, everyone. Welcome to today's webinar. It's called Revolutionizing the Commercial Vehicle Market with Light-Duty Vehicles. It's presented by Mullen. I should say light-duty electric vehicles. I'm Chris Brown, Associate Publisher for Automotive Fleet. I'll be your moderator for today's event. You will have the ability to ask questions. You see that question box below there. Throw them in the queue. After the presentation, we will run through the questions and have a moderated discussion there. That's when I'm going to jump back in. But for now, I am pleased to introduce our speakers today from Mullen Automotive. We've got Paul Lower, Director of Product Planning and Marketing, Prashant Agrawal, Senior Vehicle Software Manager, Matthew Gostick, Director of Parts and Service, and Caitlin Deliri, Assistant Marketing Manager. Super excited to have this room here with I don't even want to say the years of experience that they have in the automotive industry that they're bringing to Mullen Automotive. Maybe let them work through that through the presentation. But Caitlin, I'm going to turn it over to you, and thank you so much.
Okay. Hi, Paul Lower, Director of Marketing here at Mullen. Come to you guys with over 32 years of experience in the automotive industry. General Motors, right before leaving General Motors, I was working on their EV program. What we're going to cover today are key ways that electric vehicles can revolutionize the commercial vehicle market. We're going to give you a 360-degree tour of our EV vehicles, the Mullen ONE and Mullen THREE. And we're going to give you a deeper dive into how manufacturers deliver more value through our service, warranty, connectivity, and telematics. So the next generation of commercial vehicles is here. EV fleets get very quickly, they find out they have a reduced total cost of ownership, greater energy efficiency, and obviously reduced emissions. The Mullen vehicles are clean. We have zero emissions to be environmentally responsible. They're connected. We have maintenance alerts, real-time vehicle location, driver safety, battery metrics, and more with our commercial pulse, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. And these applications can be customized with drivers and fleet managers in mind. So let's start by talking about the Mullen ONE. This is our Class 1 urban delivery cargo van. We anticipate this to be the first commercial small van that's an EV in the U.S. market. And timing couldn't be better with the major OEMs pulling out of this space here. This vehicle is designed to navigate narrow urban streets and residential roads. It's maximized for payload and has plenty of cargo space. And you're able to park this in a residential garage due to its overall height. And I think now we're going to go to a video, kind of do a quick walk around of the Mullen ONE.
This vehicle is our small van, the Mullen ONE, an extremely nimble and maneuverable van with great visibility. By the end of 2023, we expect to be the only player in the small van segment, and we will be an efficient EV. Let's start with the business end of the van. Garageability with a 75-inch height will fit in most garages. We have a standard backup camera. We also have best-in-class cargo volume of 157 cubic feet. We also have a best-in-class payload capacity of almost 1,700 pounds. And inside the back, we have a 1/4-inch thick, durable, commercial-grade floor liner and standard D-rings. Ease of loading, entry egress at only 24 inches high, and a highly configurable cargo area with protection on the interior lower body panels, a standard LED cargo lamp, and standard rear backup sensors. So what you'll notice on the side of the vehicle is not only do we have a sliding door on the passenger side, there's also one on the driver's side. Our sliding door is 28 inches wide. That's about 4 inches wider than the Transit Connect. Outside here by the passenger door, we have a standard J1772 charging port for level 2 charging. Now, level 2 charging up to 6.6 kilowatts an hour with our onboard charger takes about 3.8 hours to charge to 80% and 5 hours for a full charge. That gives you a range of about 110 miles depending on driving conditions. Looking inside, you'll see that instead of a passenger seat, there is a workstation there. If you did drop down to look underneath the vehicle, you'd see a 42 kilowatt battery supplied by CATL, which is the largest battery OEM in the world. This battery is made up of lithium iron phosphate solid-state cells with good structural integrity and the best balance of performance and cost. You'd also see our single-speed liquid-cooled 60 kilowatt motor. All right, on the front of the vehicle, popping the hood, there's really not a lot under there. A couple fluid reservoirs, your coolant, your windshield washer fluid, your brake fluid, and a jack if you need it. So on the driver's side, when you open the door, you've got your hood latch here. You have your battery door a little further down. Underneath the driver's seat is a 12-volt battery, which runs a lot of accessories, very easily accessed if you happen to leave your lights on. On the center console, we have our electronic gear shifter dial, drive, neutral, reverse, and eco mode. Eco mode gives you a little more regen on the vehicle and helps to charge your battery when you're in stop-and-go traffic. So our heating element in this van is a lot different than in what you would see in a normal passenger car. It's called a positive temperature coefficient heater, and that brings efficiency and safety to the EV heating systems. When power is first applied to the PTC heating element, it has a low resistance and draws a large amount of current. As it heats up, the resistance increases and the current draw decreases. This makes a PTC heater inherently both safe and efficient. And the PTC heater will stop drawing current if it overheats or when it gets to the temperature desired. So it heats faster than a traditional element as it draws maximum current when it's cold. You'll also notice a USB charging point next to the gear shift dial where you can plug in your phone or other accessories to charge. Sitting in the vehicle, you'll notice great forward visibility due to the compact front end. On the instrument cluster, you'll see state of charge, charging or discharging condition, range remaining, and other important information. The Mullen ONE, a very efficient, nimble, electric small van with a ton of features and cargo space.
The Mullen 3 is our Class 3 urban utility low cab forward, turning diameter of about 38 feet, excellent visibility and maneuverability for use inner city. And the chassis provides a clean top of rail for easy upfitting. You get bodies up to 14 feet long, and the vehicle has over 5,300 pounds of payload. Next slide. You look at the range on this vehicle, it's about 125 miles. I get a lot of questions about range. It obviously varies based on what you're hauling, where you're hauling it, what your environment is, what the exterior temperature is, etc. This vehicle is an 1,100 pound GVWR vehicle, 130-inch wheelbase. That gives you a 14-foot box on this style of vehicle. It's the most popular configuration out there right now with the ICE vehicles in this same type of setup. Go on the next slide. The cab forward position, and you'll see this on the next slide, allows you to get more cargo space behind the cab without changing the overall length of the vehicle. So that's really a key to the low cab forward. The other big benefit here is it's maneuverable and nimble, a very tight turning diameter, much better than the same wheelbase conventional style truck. Turning diameter is about 38 feet. Now, it sounds like a lot, but then when you say, wow, it's about the same as a Chevy Equinox, it really puts the maneuverability of this vehicle in perspective. Now, this slide here shows you a couple things. Shows you the visibility. Looking out the front of a low cab forward, you're able to see real close to the front of that cab. Frankly, if you lean forward a couple inches, you can see right up to the front bumper. But what it also shows you is the amount of extra cargo you can put in your body, or the longer body that you can put on this vehicle and still keep the same overall length. So a very huge benefit for intercity delivery. Next slide. Now the cab tilts forward. It's great for, you know, those few opportunities that you have where you have to go climb underneath the cab for normal maintenance and repair. You're not climbing over fenders. You're not getting step ladders out. In some cases, you're not removing the cab on a conventional vehicle. But unlike the gas or diesel powered units, the similar units, you don't find a whole lot underneath the cab. An inverter, a radiator to keep the motor cool, an air compressor, your brake fluid reservoir, power steering, and a 12-volt battery. So you're really not going underneath there a whole lot in day-to-day operation. Next slide. So we talked about tighter turning diameter, better, outstanding visibility. It's very easy to get in and out of this vehicle. And we'll talk about some of the other features here on the next slide. So if we start at the front of the vehicle, something as simple as the design of the bumper, the front bumper extends a couple inches out in front of the cab. You know, if your driver does run into anything, a pole, you know, a corner of a building or anything like that, they're not going to be damaging the more expensive parts of the vehicle. You know, those composite headlights, unfortunately, are relatively expensive, as is the grille. So it prevents you from doing significant damage with a light tap. You'll also notice on the side of the cab, there is a marker light that sits proud of the door. That's designed not only so you can see the marker light and the turn signal from the side of the vehicle, you can also see it from the front of the vehicle. On the front of the vehicle, I'll show you two things here. We've got wet arm wipers with this flat windshield. You really need that washer fluid to be spraying right onto the windshield. So we throw it right out in front of the wipers. And then on top of the cab, we have roof water channels. Now, this doesn't seem like a lot until you drive it in the rain. If you hit the brakes, there's actually a barrier there on the front of the roof that forces the water down the sides, so you're not constantly flooding the windshield with water in stop-and-go traffic or city traffic. The battery, it's a lithium iron phosphate battery supplied by CATL. They supply about a third of the world's battery. This LFP chemistry, you know, that's out there in the market right now has demonstrated reliability, safety, cost savings, and importantly, a longer life cycle. And if there are battery issues on a vehicle, it's typically serviced as a complete unit rather than repairing cells in an individual battery. On the front of the vehicle, there is a removable front service panel, you know, for lack of a hood on the vehicle. You have some of the mechanicals in there. There is a cabin air intake filter in there that you would need to replace occasionally, depending on the environment you're in. And then access to the PTC heater. Now, the PTC heater, we'll go through a lot of detail, same type of heater on the van. But this is an electric heater and it draws maximum current when cold. And once it heats up, it draws minimal current. So it's really designed to save you energy on the batteries and get the cabin temperature up very quickly. On the side of the vehicle, the driver and the passenger side, you'll see these large breakaway mirror heads. They have a 12x7 flat glass mirror and then a convex mirror for greater visibility. It's all on the same mirror arm. And then if you looked out the passenger window and looked up, you would actually see a mirror that is facing downward. And that gets rid of that blind spot to the right of the vehicle where you can't see through the bottom of the door in case you have any pedestrians or bicycles next to you. Real quick look down to make sure there's nothing there as you're maneuvering through town. Next slide. You look around the vehicle and you'll notice that we have 16-inch all-season tires in all 6 locations. By matching the tread on the front and the rear, it allows you to rotate from front to rear, not just side to side, and that's going to give you a little bit of extra life on your batteries. Now, the tire size directly impacts the load floor height. You've got 2 schools of thought. I either want the vehicle to be dock height or I want it to be easy to load. We're kind of in the middle of that with 40 to 42 inches load floor height, depending on the body that goes on the back. Little things on the vehicle that have been done to prevent you from having to tilt the cab every morning when your drivers do their inspection, because we all know they go through that inspection sheet really carefully, is to make sure that you have enough windshield washer solvent, especially as we're getting into winter here in the north. You don't have to tilt the cab. There's a little sight glass right on the side of the dash. You can see how much coolant's in there. And if you do need to fill it, there's a cover you pull off. You can put your coolant right in there, your washer fluid right in there. The charge port's located right behind the passenger side of the cab. Level 2 and level 3 capable charge port. Level 2 charge takes just under 5 hours to go from 20 to 80%. Level 3 takes about 45 minutes from the same percentages. Now, if you look at the frame, arguably one of the more important parts of this vehicle, this is a ladder style channel section, straight frame, 29 inches wide from front to rear. They're flat, easy to upfit. And this is a heat-treated carbon manganese low alloy steel. We've got a frame yield strength of over 51,000 PSI. That is a higher yield strength than the competition in that same weight class. And then if you look at another measurement, because it's not fair just to say we have a higher PSI because the competition could have a thicker frame. You look at a term called RBM, or resisting bending moment, and this takes the cross-section of the frame as well as the yield strength multiplied by each other. And we come up with 541,000. That's higher than the competition in this space on both electric and gas and diesel vehicles in class 3 or 4. Rear suspension, 2-stage multi-leaf with rubber bump stops, designed to give you a comfortable ride with stability for your load. Some manufacturers, to mitigate ride harshness, put shock absorbers on there as an option. We have them standard on the Mullen 3 just to give you a little bit better ride when that chassis or that truck is empty. On the rear of the vehicle, you'll find for your upfitters, most of the common electrical connectors are already in place. We don't want the upfitters cutting into wiring. That's where you usually end up with problems later on in life. So we have connectors for the tail lamps, the rear camera, and the backup sensors, as well as, when you're looking on the back of the vehicle, you'll see some of the brake cables, etc. We have standard 4-wheel analog brakes on the vehicle. Electronic brake pressure distribution system, that is standard on the Mullen 3, and that is basically a proportioning valve that will provide better stopping regardless of the weight on the truck and where the weight is. And that'll give you a little longer brake life. And at the back of the vehicle, on a completed vehicle, you'll see a spare tire, and that is standard, as well as a standard backup camera that's displayed in the radio head unit. Walking around to the driver's side of the cab, right behind the driver's side of the cab, there is a fuse box in a weather-sealed connector there. And then right underneath the cab is the 12-volt battery that's under the cab. It's not able to be taken out unless you're able to tilt the cab. So it is it's there to prevent theft of the battery. And then simple things like the steps and the door opening. You'll notice first off that when you have the door closed, you don't see any steps. You open the door. It's actually designed to sweep any snow, ice, or mud off those steps. So you always have a safe surface to step into the vehicle. And then the door opens 85 degrees again for easy entry and egress into the vehicle. Now inside the cab, this is a regular cab vehicle, seating for 3, stain resistance material. The center seat is either a seat or a work area, storage area. Amenities on this vehicle that you typically find on most commercial vehicles: keyless entry, power windows and locks, cruise, AC, and then I briefly mentioned the 7-inch touchscreen radio with Bluetooth and USB. Now the standard rear view camera, the video for that is shown in that 7-inch touchscreen radio right on the dash. And that camera is not installed at the factory. Obviously, we need to wait till the body's installed, so the upfitter installs that based on the directions we give them. Steering, standard tilt and telescoping. Steering wheel makes it easy for the driver to get in and out. Also makes it a little bit more comfortable for him or her to drive. Storage on the vehicle. There's a plethora of storage behind the seats. There's a cubby above the driver, 2 glove boxes on the right-hand side, and then plenty of space for coffee, drinks in the vehicle with multiple cup holders, either in the seats or on the door. And then in the vehicle, we have more of the fuses and circuit breakers. Each of these vehicles is equipped with remote keyless. You get 1 remote keyless key and 1 standard key. And we have the vehicle set up that if you happen to leave a door open and try to lock it, it'll let you know there's a door open. If you do unlock the vehicle and then don't go into the vehicle or open the door, it'll relock after 90 seconds just to make sure that nothing gets stolen out of the vehicle. And with that, we're going to turn it over to Matt Gostick to talk about our fixed operations and service piece of the business. Matt?
Thank you, sir. I think we want to talk a little bit about top-notch service as it relates to Mullen EVs. My view is similar to any other project that I would attempt to complete successfully. And for those P&P professionals out there, we look at scope, time, cost, and quality. For us here at Mullen, scope equals identifying the project's key deliverables. In this case, what are the commercial customers' expectations? And from a commercial fleet perspective, what we hear is pretty resounding, and that is uptime is king. Or simply put, money's not made when the resources are down, right? From a time perspective, we kind of reverse that from the PMP example, and it equals longevity, not brevity, from a Mullen longevity in the industry perspective. In order to be successful here, we have to deliver consistently over time, continue to exceed our customers' expectations, and anything less than that only affects Mullen Automotive. But in my opinion, I think it actually affects the entire EV industry. as a whole. From a cost perspective, our cost equals TCO, or total cost of ownership. This is a big hurdle, I think, that all EV manufacturers must face because we're heading into a new area of transportation, like it or not. So when we hear, that a high voltage battery replacement could cost as much as my first house, just kidding, I'm not that old. But seriously, we take that concern very seriously, and that's why we partnered with the largest high voltage manufacturer in the industry and are offering that 8-year, 100,000-mile warranty to our vehicle's high voltage battery. In addition to that, I believe that it's enough evidence in the market that EV total cost of ownership is less than a comparable ICE vehicle just by the sheer number or reduction of moving parts in the vehicle. From a quality perspective, much like the PMP example, the perceived quality of Mullen vehicles rests on those pillars of scope, time, and cost, and essentially my team's ability to exceed our customers' expectations on a consistent basis. So, we talk about what's the plan to support that theory. I was raised on the 6 Ps, and at the heart of that is planning. So from the customer support perspective, the folks that will be answering the phones have been involved in our manufacturing process, our engineering process. They've written and reviewed all of our customer and dealer-facing documents, as well as have numerous hours of seat time in all of our models, and that's by design. From a service parts perspective, we offer a full complement of standard service parts at very competitive prices, and are leveraging technology and existing distribution channels to help maximize the vehicle uptime, or Mullen vehicle uptime. From a field service perspective, we've teamed up with AmeriFleet Solutions, whose model, ironically, is relentlessly driven to improve uptime, an obvious choice to support our plan. This partnership will support our on-site warranty repairs services designed to expedite vehicle repairs at the vehicle's location if and when those failures do occur. And previously covered, Mullen is offering a very competitive set of warranty parameters on all of our vehicles. And I think that lends itself to being competitive with most ICE vehicles that are in that industry. Additionally, I guess I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we've contracted with a company, KPIT, formerly Summit Solutions, and we're working to leverage the best technology available to build one of the most robust service portals that I've seen in my career, and that I've been around or have seen for a while. And I'm looking forward to launching that probably in the first quarter of 2024. From that perspective, we'll turn it over to Caitlin, who's going to cover our telematics application that supports all of this stuff.
Perfect. So talking about telematics, Mullen has an in-house solution called Commercial Pulse. It's an all-encompassing dashboard and an app to ensure optimized performance across the fleet. So it works for fleet managers, it works for drivers, and they can utilize that to not only improve their efficiencies, but to save time and to save money, as well as use it for predictive maintenance. It's a telematics solution that has integrations with third-party vendors and systems, and we use an API integration for that. We're going to go ahead and watch a quick video on that, and then we'll come back to the discussion.
At Mullen, we're defining a new era of fleet management. Introducing Commercial Pulse, an all-encompassing app ensuring you get the highest performance out of every Mullen EV in your fleet. Every EV's key utilization rate and overall health, including battery life, CO2 emissions, to cost per mile. Commercial Pulse tracks the performance of every driver, acceleration and braking, aggressive driving, even seatbelt use. Virtually anything and everything to keep your fleet running smoothly, efficiently, and safely. Commercial Pulse takes fleet management to a whole new level, and Mullen is in the driver's seat.
All right, perfect. So you heard a little bit about the telematics system. It is an app, both on the Google Play Store and on the Apple App Store. There's both a Fleet Manager app and a driver app. They are a little bit different, and we'll go through that, as well as a desktop application that can be accessed at mullenpulse.com. That QR code that you see on the screen will take you to our website that kind of explains more about Commercial Pulse if you have any information, and that video is there as well. So starting with the dashboard, we have a variety of features that show on the telematics dashboard on the desktop application. That includes the number of vehicles, energy consumption of the fleet, reduction of CO2 emissions, alerts, including battery alerts, driver performance alerts, and safety and security alerts, the average driver ratings, as well as vehicle snapshots that for each vehicle include range, battery percentage, and the status, whether it's active, inactive, or charging. In regards to the total number of vehicles, it's broken down by the Mullen Threes and Mullen Ones. So here you can see there's 82 Mullen Threes in this example and 41 Mullen One vehicles. As a fleet, it's important to save money and to reduce the emissions and improve your sustainability. So this showcases the amount of energy consumption that your fleet has used within the last month, as well as the kilograms of CO2 that's been emitted. In this case, or I'm sorry, not emitted, but saved. So in this case, the fleet has saved 3,070 kilograms of CO2, which drastically improves sustainability measures. This is the driver performance scoring. What this does is show your average fleet performance, as well as the percentages of your fleet that are in good performance or could use some coaching and improvement. And this is what it looks like in order to see where your vehicles are located. So in this example, you can see Michigan there has roughly 30 vehicles. If you look at the numbers on the right, what you see is each individual vehicle's name, whether it's identified by VIN or some other nomiker, and it uses the range and the battery percentage so that you can see whether or not these vehicles need to be charged and whether or not they are charging. This is a close-up of a singular vehicle. So in this case, that 67 number up top is the identifier for that vehicle. There's no driver assigned, but if there was, it would say a driver name, the battery state of charge, which in this case, the battery is not charged, as well as the location. So it'll give you an exact location, including the address, so that if the vehicle needed to be tracked, it could be. It gives you that range. And then you can select details to learn more about the vehicle, including alerts and overall different trips that it has taken. Here's an example of those trips. You can see the date of travel, the vehicle that was used, the driver that drove said vehicle. Their license can be included and uploaded. It includes the total drive time as well as total stop time. It does include the various alerts. So on the right side there, that vehicle did experience 6 alerts in its first drive and 4 alerts in its second. It does include also idle time, which as we know, idling reduces or it increases expenses. So idling is not good. So this can help you to improve that as well. And the one number that's really interesting here is it includes the utility cost. So similar to how we look at gas cost and the consumption that we're using, in this case, the drive took 22 cents of utility cost, which can help fleets understand how much that they are spending on utilities. Then we go into EV performance reporting. Here, you're seeing the utilization rate of vehicles. This isn't a perfect example, but it does explain how often vehicles are being used, whether it is 0 to 14% of the time, 15 to 29%, 30 to 44%, 45 to 59%, or whether or not they're being used 60% or more. It does allow you to kind of capture whether or not your vehicles are being used in the most optimized way. And then that report on the right is vehicle idling rate. So that allows you to know the percentage of time that each vehicle is idling. In this case, one vehicle idled for 10 to 20% of its time being turned on. These are also EV performance reports. Here you're seeing the fleet cost per mile. So in this case, in the month of April, we spent roughly $225 to $250 in our cost per hour. And then in the cost per mile basis, it looks to be about 7 cents. And the utility cost on the right showcases by month how much utilities were used. So again, comparing it to your gas consumption or your diesel consumption, you can see that average cost of your entire fleet versus just a vehicle. And it can be really helpful to understand the costs. Here's the last EV performance metric. This is CO2 emissions. This is again broken down monthly, and it can allow you to know how many kilograms you've that you've saved per month. So in the month of April here, the example is that we've saved 15,000 kilograms, and the average, if you can see that by month, is roughly 1,400,000 kilograms per month. Then we go into geofencing. Geofencing is an opportunity for fleets to track where their vehicles are. It allows no entry or entry points, no exit or exit points, and different timed options. So if you don't want your vehicle to be used off hours, or you don't want it to leave a specific geographical area or even enter a specific geographical area, that's what this is used for. And it's broken up into different groups. So if you have specific drivers that shouldn't enter certain areas, you can attach those geofences to that specific driver or to an entire department or group. The next feature is alerts, and there's a variety of alerts, but these are just some of them. There's anti-theft and potential vehicle tow. There's idling, excessive speeding, after hours usage. All of these can not only help to improve driver performance, it can also help to improve vehicle optimization and to help with predictive maintenance. So it can help to determine what's going on with the vehicle before it becomes an issue and allow a fleet to maintenance the vehicle before a problem occurs. Driver performance is a dashboard that goes more into that driver score. So at the top, you're seeing that same report from the front dashboard. It is a general score for your entire fleet, not a specific driver. But then it breaks down your top drivers for coaching, including breaking down what they've done. So in the bottom left, you'll see top aggressive drivers. That's hard braking, hard acceleration, and hard cornering. And then in the middle, it's top speeding violations. So whether they've sped or they've excessively sped. And it gives you a name so that you can address that with your drivers. Make sure your vehicles are safe, make sure your drivers are safe, and improve your optimization. Here's an example of one driver. So in this case, it's called Mullen Tel. That's Mullen Telematics, right? That's the group or department that the vehicle operates within, and then the distance traveled. So in that 126 miles that this vehicle has, or this driver has driven, they've had 13 different hard accelerations. They've braked hard twice, and they've had 15 seatbelt violations, which means that the system alerted us that they're not wearing their seatbelt. So this can help to really improve driver performance, improve the safety of your fleet, and make sure that everybody comes back. In terms of Fleet Manager application, this is again available via the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. It's very similar to the desktop. It shows the number of vehicles and their status, whether it's inactive, charging, or inactive. The energy consumption of kilowatt hours, the reduction of CO2 emissions in kilograms, the alerts including battery, driver performance, and safety and security alerts, the vehicle snapshots, including the range, battery percentage, vehicle status, and the average driver ratings. There's also a variety of other functions, including reporting and being able to message back and forth between the driver and the fleet manager. And then there's the driver application. And so the driver application is a little bit different than the fleet manager. This allows them to locate charging stations, to utilize their preferred GPS, to contact roadside assistance, to locate their vehicle, to message back and forth with their fleet manager and or other drivers, to see their own driver performance score, to evaluate the vehicle. And then coming soon, expected in the 2024 calendar year, we're adding the lock unlock feature to the vehicles. So what does all of that mean? Well, with telematics and improved technologies using our electric vehicles, you can reduce the costs of your fleet. You can reduce up to 50% of your maintenance costs. You can reduce up to 65% of your energy expenses. You can reduce up to 75% of your CO2 emissions. These vehicles are eligible for the commercial clean vehicle credit from the IRS, which on these vehicles, it's up to $7,500. And overall, it reduces up to 54% cost per mile in terms of savings. And that really just means that your fleet can operate not only clean vehicles, but it can actually save you money and save energy and be a sustainable option and help the environment. And with that, I think we'll turn it back over to Chris.
All right. Well, thank you for the robust presentation, guys. And yeah, we've got quite a few questions. We've got, I think, 56. So we've got our work cut out for us here. Let me start with some hard ones. How about that? I know you guys are ready for that, huh? Not like you don't get these all the time, but this is kind of a general question about the electric vehicle market, because there's OEs that are entering the market, and in some sense it feels a little saturated. Are you concerned about this amount of saturation in the electric vehicle market? Who wants to take that one?
It's Paul.
That's a marketing question.
Yeah, I mean, there's always a concern about, your competition out there in the marketplace. If I didn't make it clear early on, the Mullen ONE van, not only are we the only Class 1 van in the market, after the first of the year, we're going to be an EV. So we're not going to have any true commercial competition out there to this van for those fleets wanting more of a traditional style van. And then the Mullen 3, if you want an EV, low cab forward, right now your choices are converting a gas or diesel variant, or waiting a few more years for the competition to come out with their solutions, which are, from what I'm understanding, going to be a lot more expensive than we are from a price point. So are we concerned with competition? Yes, but I believe we've got a couple-year lead on the competitors out there in these segments.
Cool. We always get a lot of questions about range and mileage, and there's so many different factors that get into there. First of all, there is a standard test now for payload. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so it's essentially you make an assumption that your payload is 50% of what your max is, and that makes an assumption that you're leaving with a full vehicle and you're coming back with an empty vehicle. So most of your numbers are based on that type of analysis. If you're not running at full GVW, if you cube out before you hit your max payload, you're going to probably get more range. I saw another question that was out there. I'll kind of lump it into this one. Both vehicles have regenerative braking, so that comes into play with range as well. So if I'm driving in the city in an urban environment, I'm going to see better range than I would if I just put myself out on I-75 here and, was going as fast as I can possibly go with everybody else on the highway. I'll see a much lower range. So speed plays into that as well.
Yeah, I've heard, fleets talk about, well, I'm in a hilly environment, and as long as you are not always consistently going up hills, you're going to get some regen there.
Right. And in fact, regen works so well that when we get to 90, I think it's 95%, we have to shut it off because we don't have anywhere to store all the extra electricity that the regen system is generating. So it's very, very efficient at reclaiming some of that energy.
So with electric vehicles, this new world, particularly with, frankly, new OEMs, servicing is going to be a big factor here. Can you just get into how you guys are going to addressing service and how quickly a customer should expect their vehicles to be serviced?
So that's probably a service question for pots and pans. A lot of that discussion comes around what the failure was, but from a Mullen perspective, like I said, uptime is key. And for most repairs, we've got the vehicle components in stock that we need to fix them. We've got hooked up with AmeriFleet, right? So AmeriFleet has the ability to go right to the vehicle's location and fix it on site. So there's no aggravation or time consumed by the customer to get that vehicle into a rooftop facility to get it fixed, let's say. But, you know, our goal is 24 to 48 hours on, I would say, most repairs. I think that's pretty aggressive from an industry standard. And we'll see, you know, over time how well we produce results to that, because that ultimately affects Mullen's longevity in this industry.
Sure. I'm going to lump in at some questions on telematics because telematics is really, really important for metrics in the EV world. I mean, it's frankly essential, right? You have your own telematics product. First of all, just tick off some of the high points and differences between solutions offered by other OEMs. Let's just start with that one, whoever wants to take it.
Yeah, hi, this is Prashant Agarwal. So our telematics solution is more commercial, customer-centric with a simple user experience design and easy to understand interface. In the future, we are seeing digital solution having more capabilities and focus, solving customer pain points specific to the unique fleet and customer needs. So our telematics solution is very competitive in terms of features. It is basically we want to do what our fleet customers are basically telling us. So that's how we are trying to make our this rather than an engineering dashboard.
Okay. I'm sorry. Someone over-the-air updates, is that available through your system?
Yeah, we are we already have over-the-air update capabilities to some of our important ECUs like BMS body module system and our T-box, the telematics system. We are also expanding to other ECUs in future, but we are already OTA capable.
Okay. You know, one important part of the telematics equation is that there's, you know, a charge, there's a fee per unit, right? I mean, and that's inherent in the Mullen offering, correct?
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the charges for using.
Well, the actual fee, the monthly fee per unit. I mean, whether you're in any OEM, that's going to happen.
Yeah. So either you can, the way we have set it up is you can do monthly if you want, or you can pay as a part of the purchase of the vehicle, and you can do over the life, 3 years, 5 years, however you like. So we are flexible.
Okay. And of course, you can use a third-party telematics service provider as well, should you choose.
Yeah, so we would like, we are open to integration with any third-party solution that you may be using. And we have kept our platform more open platform. So we are already working with few big aftermarket solutions, but we are open to integrating with any third-party solution.
Okay. At the risk of geeky deep dive here, can you just tick off some high points for the engineering of the battery pack, thermal management, maybe address safety, the comment of cell balancing as well? Prashant, can you take that? Or?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take that, Chris.
Sure.
You know, the battery is tested as part of the crash worthiness of the vehicle. So any of the crash testing we do that involves the whole vehicle, the battery is part of that, and that's we make sure that the battery is safe. It doesn't have any major failures in these crashes, etc. There are new technologies, it seems, coming out every other week on batteries. We're not jumping from one technology to another and another over the course of a year. We are going down the road of looking at some alternative technologies that may give us better range in the future. Thermal management, if you look at our Mullen 3, one of the main concerns about battery and charge and range is exterior temperature, and EVs tend not to have good range when it's cold out. So we actually have a heater for the Mullen 3 batteries to warm them up, so you actually could squeak some more range out of those batteries versus just leaving them at ambient temperature.
Okay. I'm going to lump some questions on sort of customer base. One was, I think there are some publicly announced customers. Have there been yet? They want to know who your customers are right now.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to share that information. I'm not sure I have the approval of those customers to share their names here at this point. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. Asked and answered. Can the Mullen ONE say, so non-emergency medical transport, have you guys just thought about that for the Mullen ONE?
Physically, is it capable? Yes. To be honest with you, I'm not sure if there's any specific vehicle requirements that vehicle would need to meet to be non-emergency passenger transport. I suspect that's a very small piece of business there, but it is definitely something we can look at, but I'm just not sure of the regulations.
Yeah, sure. How about supply chain issues? I mean, hedging against future supply chain issues is kind of tough to understand what black swan events may come on us, but any thoughts in general on that?
Yeah, I mean, we're not immune from supply chain issues. We've been pretty good working through the issues or finding alternative suppliers for some of these components. But we have a team of several people that really that's all they do all day long is chase down supply chain and parts and, look at any potential issues that may be coming on the horizon. Okay.
Very, very quick question on, data, transfer of data. That's, I imagine, through the telematics system, but is there Wi-Fi involved in that? Is there Wi-Fi on board?
No, that's a cellular card on board, so we're not dependent on a consumer or fleet's Wi-Fi signal. It's all done via cellular, just like your cell phone transmits.
Okay. Any thoughts on charging technologies in the standards and how that's going one way or the other? I'm talking about Tesla standard and, NACS.
Yeah, it's something we're evaluating right now. There's obviously benefits to both systems. So we're kind of weighing the pros and cons of changing over to the Tesla standard, but no announcements to make at this time, if any.
Sure. A couple of easy ones. How about that video? Is it available on the website? Can they go to the Mullen website for the video?
It's not currently available on the website, but we will be adding it to our social profiles like YouTube shortly. So when it's available there, people can access it on our YouTube channel.
To the Mullen team. That is all the time that we have for today. For anybody's question that was not answered, we will be following up via email, and we want to thank you for your time today. You will be contacted via email with the recording of the webinar, and you can also find it on the Automotive Fleet website at automotivefleet.com/webinars. Thank you all so much for your time today to the Mullen team, and we'll see you shortly on another webinar.
Cheers.
This vehicle is our small van, the Mullen ONE, an extremely nimble and maneuverable van with great visibility. By the end of 2023, we expect to be the only player in the small van segment, and we will be an efficient EV. Let's start with the business end of the van. Garageability with a 75-inch height will fit in most garages. We have a standard backup camera. We also have best-in-class cargo volume of 157 cubic feet. We also have a best-in-class payload capacity of almost 1,700 pounds. And inside the back, we have a 1/4-inch thick, durable, commercial-grade floor liner and standard D-rings. Ease of loading, entry, egress at only 24 inches high, and a highly configurable cargo area with protection on the interior lower body panels, a standard LED cargo lamp, and standard rear backup sensors. So what you'll notice on the side of the vehicle is not only do we have a sliding door on the passenger side, there's also one on the driver's side. Our sliding door is 28 inches wide. That's about 4 inches wider than the Transit Connect. Outside here by the passenger door, we have a standard J1772 charging port for level 2 charging. Now, level 2 charging up to 6.6 kilowatts an hour with our onboard charger takes about 3.8 hours to charge to 80% and 5 hours for a full charge. And that gives you a range of about 110 miles depending on driving conditions. Looking inside, you'll see that instead of a passenger seat, there is a workstation there. If you did drop down to look underneath the vehicle, you'd see a 42 kilowatt battery supplied by CATL, which is the largest battery OEM in the world. This battery is made up of lithium iron phosphate solid-state cells with good structural integrity and the best balance of performance and cost. You'd also see our single-speed liquid-cooled 60 kilowatt motor. All right, on the front of the vehicle, popping the hood, there's really not a lot under there. A couple fluid reservoirs, your coolant, your windshield washer fluid, your brake fluid, and a jack if you need it. So on the driver's side, when you open the door, you've got your hood latch here. You have your battery door a little further down. Underneath the driver's seat is a 12-volt battery, which runs a lot of accessories. Very easily accessed if you happen to leave your lights on. On the center console, we have our electronic gear shifter dial, drive, neutral, reverse, and eco mode. Eco mode gives you a little more regen on the vehicle and helps to charge your battery when you're in stop-and-go traffic. So our heating element in this van is a lot different than in what you would see in a normal passenger car. It's called a positive temperature coefficient heater, and that brings efficiency and safety to the EV heating systems. When power is first applied to the PTC heating element, it has a low resistance and draws a large amount of current. As it heats up, the resistance increases and the current draw decreases. This makes a PTC heater inherently both safe and efficient. And the PTC heater will stop drawing current if it overheats or when it gets to the temperature desired. So it heats faster than a traditional element as it draws maximum current when it's cold. You'll also notice a USB charging point next to the gear shift dial where you can plug in your phone or other accessories to charge. Sitting in the vehicle, you'll notice great forward visibility due to the compact front end. On the instrument cluster, you'll see state of charge, charging or discharging condition, range remaining, and other important information. The Mullen ONE, a very efficient, nimble, electric small van with a ton of features and cargo space.